Alright guys, continuing with Chucky week, we are at ranking the Chuckys. I've already ranked the Jasons, I have ranked the Michaels, and I have ranked the Freddys. Now we are on to Chucky. And I'll say this, Chucky's a little bit harder to rank than those other guys because Chucky, for the most part, even on the shitty films, has been pretty damn consistent across the board. Very little do you ever see Chucky not being Chucky, so he always looks pretty close except for some of the more lower budget films. So this was a difficult list to make, but comparing both the design of the doll along with the writing and the different one-liners and everything that we get, as well as the action, the way that they utilize the character, all those elements mixed together is how I compiled this list where I ranked the Chuckys from worst to best, all 8 versions of Chucky that we get, including the new one from Child's Play 2019. So, kicking it off at the bottom, number 8, to me, the worst Chucky that we have gotten yet, and this might surprise some people, and that's Cult of Chucky. Now, I'll get into my reasons why that other film is not number 8, but the reason why Cult is number 8 for me is because this is the only Child's Play film where, to me, it felt like Chucky wasn't really written that well. It wasn't executed that well. It felt like Chucky was kind of tired in this movie almost. And not that Brad Dourif did a bad job, I just think what he was given was bad. I don't like the design of the doll, any of the variations of Chucky we get in this, except for like the severed head Chucky in the opening and a couple of scenes throughout. That looked pretty gnarly, but other than that, I just think the design is not the greatest. I think that a lot of the lines, including the one-liners and the jokes, are not the greatest. None of them really landed for me. I never laughed once during this movie, and that's a little shocking for a Chucky movie. So all those reasons put together, I actually think Cult delivered the worst Chucky. Number 7, this is the one that most people probably put at number 8, but hear me out. Seed of Chucky, yes. This is my least favorite Child's Play film by far. I think this movie is absolute trash, and as much as I dislike Cult, Cult still has quite a big leg up on Seed of Chucky. But the one thing that I'll say about Seed of Chucky is that Chucky is Chucky. His humor, his attitude, that dark, sick, twisted sense that Chucky has always been famous for, it still fires on all cylinders with Seed of Chucky. Yes, the jokes that they're going for are really not that funny to me, a little bit weird and crass and too out there, but the attitude, the one-liners, that whole scene where he's in the bathroom trying to find out which porn magazine he wants to beat off to, yes, that's actually a scene in Seed of Chucky, Jesus Christ. All that stuff put together, including the design of the doll, which is pretty close to what we got in Bride, which is my favorite actual design of the Chucky doll, all that put together, I think it's slightly better than what we got in Cult. Still not the best, it's still number 7, but Seed of Chucky, just a little better than Cult. Number 6 is going to be Curse of Chucky for a couple of reasons, and I actually really like this film. The design of the doll in like the first 2/3 of the film is very distracting. It's very weird. It has like a fat face to it, and it's distracting for longtime Child's Play fans. Now, luckily they weaved that into the plot, and there's a reason why. There's so much extra plastic there, not to spoil the movie or anything, so I'll kind of keep that detailed, tight-lipped, but there's a reason why, but at the same time, it's still distracting for the first 2/3 of the film to look at this Chucky. And even when you get to another look of Chucky, it's pretty decent, but there is more CGI than we've ever seen with Chucky, not the best CGI either. And the design, as far as a scarred Chucky, is probably my least favorite of the 3 films that feature that. So that added in with the fact that Chucky is very much in the shadows, and you know, it's a slow build to Chucky, so the Chucky that we get in the 3rd act is actually pretty damn good, but the first 2 acts, if you're just speaking strictly on utilization of Chucky, he's kept in the shadows and he's kept out of the story for most of this film, which works to the film's advantage, but it doesn't mean he's the best Chucky that we've seen in this franchise. So all those elements added together, from here on up, these are all Chuckies that I think are all pretty damn good, but Curse is the bottom of the good list at number 6. Number 5 is going to be our newcomer, the Buddy doll from Child's Play 2019. Now, initially when I had first seen this film and I compiled this list, this Chucky was actually a little lower. But after I saw it a second time, and especially after the film kind of sat with me for a while, I really like this Chucky. Not only do I like the way that they utilize him in the story and the way they really explore that friendship between him and Andy, but I like how he kind of, it's almost like an origin story. Like, he develops throughout the film. He starts as this innocent, childlike doll, and by the 3rd act, he's kind of pushed into the Chucky that we know and love to a degree. Not quite to the caliber that the Brad Dourif Chucky has taken it, maybe in a sequel. Fingers crossed it makes enough money for that. but I just like the different explorations of the character that we get. The design of the doll is what keeps it down so low. If the design was awesome, this would be like top 3 for me, but the design is a bit distracting. It is a little bit hard to get used to. It didn't bug me at all the second time that I watched it, but I still contend that when they do a sequel, if they do a sequel, that's the first thing they need to tackle is how do we fix this design? Because pretty much across the board, everybody said, yeesh. So, number 5, Chucky from Child's Play 2019. Number 4 is going to be the one that started it all, the Chucky doll from the original Child's Play in 1988. Now again, I got a lot of flack from certain people from my ranking as far as the franchise movie goes for where I placed Child's Play 1988, and this is not a commentary on that film at all. I need to explain that thoroughly. This is just about the Chucky itself, the Chucky doll, the utilization of the character. And in the first film, which is no fault of their own, they didn't quite realize what Chucky was and how awesome he was and what they really had with that doll. He's got great standout moments, like whenever he first comes to life, whenever Karen's about ready to throw him in the fire. One of the best scenes of the franchise. He's got some great one-liners. I love the interaction he has with Detective Mike whenever he first starts to kind of mess around with him a little bit. The creepy aspect to him trying to get inside Andy and trying to get everybody out the way in the third act. He's really well utilized in this film. He's just not full-blown Chucky yet. You know, it took till Child's Play 2 before they realized how much they had with Chucky. So that held back just a little bit, as well as just this design of the doll, this effect, the makeup, and no, not the makeup, the animatronics and the design of the doll, while being awesome for the time, this is the one movie where it has aged a little bit poorly for me. It still looks pretty damn good compared to a lot of effects you see nowadays, but especially the effects where they have like a little person in a Child's Play suit running around, and it just doesn't age very well. Those scenes really stand out to me nowadays when I watch it, but still love the film, still love this version of Chucky. He just gets cranked up quite a bit in the movies above it. Number 3 is Chucky from Child's Play 3, one of my favorites. This is, to me, a very underrated sequel and a very underrated Chucky. I think a lot of people do not give the credit that this movie is due for how awesome Chucky is in this. Chucky is basically as awesome as he was in Child's Play 2 in my mind, maybe even a few more one-liners than Child's Play 2. And he just gets a lot more to do in this movie than he does in some of the other films. Like, this is Chucky just, again, having a blast the entire time. I like the military setting and everything, but as far as just Chucky, I think that his one-liners, his attitude, his humor, the schemes that he comes up with, like switching out all the paint bullets for regular ammunition and all that, and his diabolical sense in this movie, I think it fires on all cylinders, especially through the third act when you get that awesome design where right here, this guy, where his face gets chopped off by that Grim Reaper, and then he goes haywire, just goes batshit crazy trying to get Andy and Tyler at the very end. I think Chucky is badass in Child's Play 3. Some of the best one-liners of the franchise. So, number 3 best Chucky is from Child's Play 3. And now, just like my ranking of the franchise, spoiler alert, you have the same top 2 films. You have Bride of Chucky and you have Child's Play 2. Now, if you haven't seen that ranking, you don't know which one is my favorite film, but surprise, surprise, it's actually gonna swap here because my number 2 is Child's Play 2. I think that this is one of the greatest utilizations of Chucky ever. I think that it's a huge leg up on where they had him in 1988. They really understood what they had, the gold mine they had with the character of Chucky in this film. His attitude is always there from the start of the movie to the end. His diabolical, dark-ass sense of humor is there. The laugh, the action, the way that they utilize him, especially in that third act when he just goes batshit because he's finally spent too long in the body and he's just gonna murder Andy and Kyle at any cost. You know, I'm gonna get you fuckers! Like, that is the Chucky we get in Child's Play 2. And this guy is just firing on all cylinders, cranked all the way up to 11 in this sequel. So, God, I love Child's Play 2, and I love the Chucky that's in it. But number 1 for me, I do think that the Chucky we get in Bride of Chucky is just a little bit more fun because he has everything that I just said about Child's Play 2, with the exception of maybe the third act attitude, but the humor is really cranked up. And I think Bride of Chucky is one of the most endlessly rewatchable Child's Play films for the humor alone. Like, it still has the horror sense, it still has the gore and the cool kills, and I love the utilization of the character of Tiffany too in this first film, not so much the other ones. But the way that Chucky is in this from the beginning, where he gets brought back to life And the one-liners, just one after another, just gut-busting, hilarious. Perfectly written for that character. Brad Dourif's voice work is awesome in this. I love the scar design in Bride of Chucky. That's by far my favorite look of the Chucky doll, which is probably the one thing that puts this just a notch above Child's Play 2 for me. But just the attitude that he has when he's crawling and the cop looks at him and he flips him off and keeps going, and you know, Tiffany, where the fuck are you? Just the attitude with the humor is perfect in Bride of Chucky. So I may be splitting hairs with a lot of these top films because I think Chucky is just an awesome character in most of these films. And like I said, he's the most consistent as far as the character. There's no Freddy's dead Chucky's floating around in here, but Bride of Chucky, got to give it the gold crown for this one. That is my favorite Chucky in the franchise. So what do you guys think? What are your ranking of the Chuckies down in the comment section below? Let me know. Give me some reasons why, please. Don't just list them because it's a little bit boring to scroll through. Tell me why it's your favorite, why it's your least favorite. Let's get a discussion going on this awesome character that we all know and love. So let me know that down below. Also, you can check my Teespring store because I have a brand new design that is released in conjunction with the Child's Play 2019 movie, designed by the great Woody Bowen. This beauty right here. So if you want to get this shirt or any of my other shirts, and there's also 2 other Chucky related designs down below, check my Teespring store. Just scroll down, it should be right there. You can access all of it right from this little shelf below the video. Check that out, guys. You can also check down below in the video description for other social media links like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I also have a Spreadshirt store, but I'm probably going to be deleting that soon because Teespring seems to be a little bit more user-friendly for you guys. So also let me know that if you've used both of them, which one you like better. But also my Patreon page is a great way to support this channel and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron. So check all that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my content, like all this juicy Child's Play shit that I've been putting out for the past week, all these good ranking videos and reviews, and all my past reviews for the entire franchise, you can check those out by clicking right over here.